Nah, the movie wasn't good. I gotcha. No, the movie was really good. I really liked Spider-Man Brand New Day. This was a film that I actually was getting excited for literally this morning. I usually don't get excited for movies anymore because I just kind of take it for granted. But this morning, I actually got really hyped that I was going to see this movie. And I just got back from watching it. And I gotta say, it is a great Spider-Man film, but I don't think I would say it's the best one I've seen. But I'm not gonna play the comparing game. I just want to focus on just Brand New Day. I'm not gonna talk about other movies or whatever and how this was better or whatever. I want to talk about just this movie alone. And usually I go on about spoilers, and I will do that in a bit. But I want to make sure the people who didn't watch the movie, who want to know if like what makes it good without spoiler context, I'm gonna do that right now. So here's a spoiler-free review. What's really good about the Spider-Man film is if you've been watching the trailers, they do kind of don't jump into the discussion in this like thing where Peter gets like a mutation thing, but we've also seen that from the consequences of No Way Home, this is a depressed Peter Parker. Bro is in a broke, like, cheap apartment, and he is, trying to, deal with being alone and not being able to tell like Ned and MJ about what really happened because he's like struggling with that. I think they balance those two conflicts really, really well. And I also think the overall story that they set up is very compelling. I will say Sadie Sink's character is a very interesting one indeed, and I can't reveal her just yet. And I gotta say, with all the characters that they've put in the movie, I think they were able to balance a lot well. But with that, there are some characters that do get underutilized, unfortunately, and I wasn't expecting them to play like a major role anyways, but it's fine for what it's worth. I still enjoyed it. I think this was a Spider-Man film that is a love story for anyone who's a fan of the Spider-Man franchise, like not just the movies itself, but if you've played the PS5 Spider-Man games, I'm only playing Spider-Man 2 right now. I haven't finished it, but there are a lot of scenes where it does give that feeling. It gives so like I saw a reviewer say this, and I do agree. The first half, it really feels like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and I know I wasn't gonna say, like compare, but I'm not like comparing with in terms of like, oh, it's better or whatever. It kind of does get inspired from that. There is a mix of like, there's just a lot of like quippiness going on between Spidey and the Punisher, and I think he was a really he plays a not like a major role. He does something that does kind of drive the plot forward to a certain direction. And seeing those two together, their chemistry was amazing. There's just a lot of good things to talk about this film. There's so much to glaze. And I just think anyone who likes Spider-Man is going to enjoy this film 1,000%. And I also will say, I won't spoil it yet. And I'm just going to, really tiptoe around this. So everyone's so excited for like the Hulk in this movie. This is like the real Hulk we've been getting, not freaking Smart Hulk merged together that we've seen in Endgame. This is the actual Hulk we get without like Banner controlling it. And I think how they get around there, it's fine. But I think Hulk overall in this film, he doesn't really serve much to the plot. Like, he is kind of like, I'm gonna say like a mosquito in the way type of thing. Like, he's not someone who you should really concern yourself with, which is kind of upsetting. Like, I don't expect the Hulk to play a major role here, but even to this day, even to this movie, that he is still underutilized. He is someone who just hasn't really gotten a good spotlight since Infinity War, since Ragnarok, because he got benched in the beginning of Infinity War, and we haven't seen Hulk ever since. We see him now. He's better than the recent iterations of Hulk we've seen in like She-Hulk and like freaking that's it. It's kind of upsetting, but it's not like my biggest complaint. I just think including him in this movie wasn't that necessary. I think it's because of the I heard there was like a contract where for any of the Spider-Man films they have to include like a major MCU character here. I guess it's like whatever. Like, it doesn't feel like he's forced to be in this movie. Like, there are some like conversations him and Peter have that are important to like the conflict that is addressed in the film. but it's something where it's just like you didn't really need Hulk in. Like Banner I get, but Hulk not really. It's fine for what the movie gave us. I'm glad Hulk is back. I'm glad that they've given us, the Hulk that everyone wants. And I'm also glad, by the way, that they give Scorpion as much screen time as I thought he was going to get. I thought he was going to be like one and done kind of thing. But because this is a villain that was hyped up for like 10 years, or he had an introduction like 10 years ago in the very first Spider-Man film, and we have gotten nothing of him ever since. Here, he's back, and he's cool to see. Like, there are some cool fight scenes, but even with all the things that I can glaze the movie on about, is that there are some things where it feels a bit rushed, and there are some things where you kind of have to go with the suspension of disbelief, or there were just some more things that made me confused. I've kind of given my spoiler-free talk, so this is where we get into spoilers. So I'm assuming you've watched the movie. But I'm not gonna regurgitate like the whole plot. I'll just kind of be concise with it. Underutilizing the Hulk here is the thing. He is like a mini boss here. So Jean, that is Sadie Singh's character, by the way. She's Jean Grey. She's trying to find her sister, who is also a telepath user, Sarah, and she's trying to find her because we learned that Damage of Department Control were the ones hiding her, and it wasn't Department of Damage Control being like the good guys. I mean, we already know that they've been bad considering all the things that they've been doing. It's like all shady, but while she's trying to get to like their building and like find Sarah, she uses Hulk to like control him to stop Spidey from stopping her. And then like Hulk, like the real Hulk comes out, and then Hulk is like beating like Spider-Man up, and Spider-Man tells him, "Oh, it's Peter, you remember me." And then Hulk comes down. He basically does the whole the sun's getting real low kind of thing on Hulk, and then he goes back to Bruce Banner, and then Bruce is now like hospitalized at a psych ward or something. That's all you get of Hulk. That's it. Like I think the scenes that you see of Hulk, that's like the only thing you get, with like a few extension of like what goes on here and there. That's it. So he doesn't play like a major role. So don't expect something like big from Hulk, really. But I mean, again, for what it was worth, it was fine. I just think it's just kind of a shame that he is still not having like anything much to do other than just kind of like being a cameo in this movie, I guess. That's just kind of like in a nutshell, basically. But something that just kind of got to my head. I'm just like, oh, like, the hype for Hulk really isn't worth it. And some of the things that are rushed, I feel like that this is something that was addressed earlier on the film, and I think it's really crucial. So Jean, she can like control, like, or she can like possess people's minds and like kind of hop around from people. And I think how they do that, by the way, is really goofy. Basically, when she's trying to like possess someone, they go like this. And then when she's like hopping to other people, it goes like a chain reaction. It looks really goofy. I mean, I guess there was no like nonchalant or cooler way to have the mind hopping thing, because they had to make it obvious for like Peter to kind of counter it. But whatever. But anyways, she like is able to control people's minds and like possess them. But she can't get to Peter's head. Like, she tries to, and she kind of sees like a scene of him and May, but doesn't really get to know more from there. She's like kind of blocked. But they never really answer how that's even possible. Like, I thought maybe it's because, Spidey, like his Spidey senses kind of prevents that. But in the movie, his mutation is going crazy. His hormones going like kablut and whatever, and his senses are like overstimulated. So you would expect that because his senses are fluctuating, he'd be more susceptible. But even after like Jean gets like the major power upgrade at the end, he's still sort of resistant, and he actually lets her in his mind when he like gives her the permission, or when he allows her. So it's like, oh, like we still don't know, like maybe because he's just that strong. Maybe Spider-Man is Spider-Man and he's just that guy. But I thought they would kind of address it. Or maybe they did. I can't remember. There's another thing. So Jean later finds out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. That we don't know. That's still a mystery. But I just think it's weird because we don't know. It is super hard to find any information on Jean. And in like the Department of Damage Control, they're able to find out who Jean is. Like, you know, they're really good at finding people out, but they can't find out Spidey. And I feel like someone like Peter Parker would be very meticulous on if anyone would see him. So it's like, how could he have, you know, like, how could Jean kind of find out who he was? Like, that's not like a complaint I have. Like, maybe there's like a reasonable explanation. I just think there's just some things that happen that don't really get answered. Like, you're just kind of scratching your head on like, how did that work? But I mean, Jean Grey is a very powerful X-Men character. I am aware. I just don't know how powerful she is, or I don't know how, like, I don't know much of the character really. I'm not aware of like the lore, but if that's something that's like possible and reasonable for her to just kind of do that without really any like reasonable thought, then whatever. Oh, but there is something that does happen though, and this is shown in the trailers. So Peter, he like faints and then he wakes up in this like webbed cocoon. And it's like literally right outside of his apartment, and he's like falling and he's like using his organic webs in an open alley where people walk by. They can clearly see him. No one sees him. It's like, come on, man. Like, you're telling me no one could have seen that? And also, Peter is like struggling with like controlling his powers, like his like new like mutation. And he's been suppressing it for so long that when he finally like unleashes the inhibition like chip that he puts on, he suddenly like masters it. And it's like, okay, like it's a really cool sequence, by the way, at the end when he finally like, you know, fights the hand, and like it's like a really cool action sequence. But I think just the things that they have kind of been building up to kind of get like this at the end. Like they just didn't really have time to kind of explain it more or kind of give the correct payoff that I thought it would get, because there was just so many things that they had to balance in this movie. There were just so many characters. And speaking of characters, Scorpion is also a character that is underutilized here. He, you know, he's just kind of there, you know, just, you know, fighting Spidey and, you know, giving some cool fight scenes. But man, you don't, there's no motive for him either. Like he doesn't really do anything. Like he gets mind controlled later on and then gets arrested, and we never see him again. But before that, he doesn't have a motive, and he keeps getting arrested, by the way. So I think that character also gets wasted too. But I mean, he shows up in the movie quite a bit, but kind of a waste, really. I think that's kind of like the flaw with him too. Other than all the things that I've addressed, like they're not like it's not like a big deal or whatever. This is the biggest issue I had with the movie. So this is like the thing about Jean's power. So when so Milchick from Severance is here, by the way. He's like the head of the DOD. When he knocks out Jean Grey with like a stunner dart thing, Jean tells Spider-Man, she says Sarah, and Peter tells Milchick, he's like, who's Sarah? And Sarah is like, I forgot his name. I think his name is like Ben Mitzner, whatever. He tells Spider-Man, oh, Sarah is this dead employee of mine. She like, you know, friggin' Jean got into my brains and fingered it a bit there, and, you know, kind of made me go padoozy daisy. And Peter's like, oh, okay. And so he leaves. And then later when he like talks to MJ about whatever, whatnot, MJ tells him, because she was also like earlier, like she got possessed as well by Jean. She tells Peter that she doesn't remember anything that happened while she was possessed. And Peter goes into this big like revelation moment of like, oh shoot, he lied to me. It turns out no one can remember what happens when they're possessed. But earlier on in the film, when Peter like encounters the people that get first possessed by Jean, they all say like, oh, where am I? What just happened? Spider-Man, what did I do? It's very clear that no one remembers what happens when they're possessed. So shouldn't Spider-Man have been able to figure that out before MJ told him? Like, I just think that was a big yucky there. So that is something that I think is probably the biggest flaw of the movie. That is like my main complaint. But everything else is just kind of like, you know, they build up some things and then they get to the end, they close it all off, but some of it just kind of feels rushed. Like, I think the mutation thing, like, I guess that had a good pacing here and all, but at the end, just him suddenly mastering his powers, even though he's been suppressing it the whole time, and whenever, like, it got out of control, he still clearly couldn't even get a grasp on it, and then he just suddenly, like, he goes into this, like, mode of where he accepts it. I guess, like, when he goes into the arachnid mode, like, he gets better control because, like, his eyes go black and then he just goes, like, nuts to butts with it. And when he's, like, normal, he can't control it. But he's able to transition from the black eye, like, arachnid mode state to Peter state while retaining, like, the mutation upgrade. So it's like, okay. I mean, still a cool scene, like, what we got out of that, but I don't know. Just something that I've noticed. Anyways, aside from all the things that I've addressed, like, I want to make it clear again, these aren't complaints. It's just some things that I've noticed in the movie that kind of makes it, you know, like, a bit weak, kind of. So that's why this isn't, like, the best Spider-Man movie for me. But it's still great for what it was worth. And I think this was, you know, a really good Spider-Man film. Let's talk about the really good things. I like how MJ and Spider-Man, they aren't, like, back together again. So he eventually tells her, well, kind of, like, she figures it out himself. Like, she found, like, the letter that he wanted to give her about him saying, like, oh, I'm Peter Parker, I actually knew you. Like, he, like spills the guts to her. And she's, like, processing it, but she still doesn't remember anything. Even, like, it's very, like, more confirmed that there really isn't anything, because when Jean gets into her mind, there's not a single iota of Spider-Man or Peter really in her life. So I like that they didn't rush that part. I'm assuming they'll close that off in like the next movie. But so far, it's like a bittersweet ending between MJ and Peter, and it still has Peter going through the consequences of No Way Home, and not everything is kind of like spoon-fed to him. Not everything is like solved completely. So I'm glad that they were able to not rush that bit. And I really did like what they were building up to when he gets that emotional moment with Jean, where she's not alone. And even when you are, like, even when you have no one by your side, like, I'm with you. And, you know, that doesn't mean you don't have to, like, do this. Like, oh, I'm kind of saying it in a yucky way right now, but how they said it was done really well. I teared up in this movie. I think that's enough to say that this is an emotional movie. Like, it does give the emotional beats when it tries, and it delivers really well. That's all I gotta say about the movie. I've been yabbing for almost 20 minutes now. So that's all I gotta say. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.